welcome back to Monday Night Lights Podcast. Another week with Louis Schaefer. I'm Tim Hoffmeister. We have a good show for tonight. We're going to talk NBA free agency, even though none of it can be official yet until the 8th. We're going to talk the MLB All-Stars selections and some news, as well as NHL news and the NFL if we have time. First, we're going to start off with the NBA and some free agent signings. We're just going to run through a couple here, and then we'll break them down. We have LaMarcus Aldridge and Danny Green going to the Spurs, Green staying, Aldridge leaving the Blazers. DeAndre Jordan and Wesley Matthews to the Mavericks. Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson staying with the Cavs. Paul Pierce returning to his head coach Doc Rivers, but to a different team, the Clippers. Rajon Rondo, one-year deal to the Kings. Monte Ellis to the Pacers. Robin Lopez, Aaron Aflalo to the Knicks. Hibbert, Lou Williams, and Brandon Bass to the Lakers. Carroll, Joseph to the Raptors. Millsap to the Hawks, and a very exciting Sixers trade that we will get to. How do you feel about some of these moves? Which one do you like the best? Which one do you think just isn't a good fit?
This one's easy to say. I like the Aldridge move by San Antonio. You look at the West now, the Lakers are starting to get younger because they've been so bad. The Golden State's young, and they keep Draymond Green. The Kings are kind of in limbo, but they're young enough where if they were to figure it out, they're a young team. I think San Antonio adding Aldridge was huge. Everybody knows about the aging core, but now you have a core kind of behind it now with Green, Aldridge, and Kawhi. So I think that Aldridge move, obviously on face value, it's the best player. So yeah, it's easy to say, but I think long term it's huge for them.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think the Aldridge move is huge for the Spurs, and I think the core of Aldridge, Green, and Leonard will probably outlast Popovich as well. I think all four, Parker, Ginobili, Duncan, and Pop will probably go out together. But I'm going to go with the Jordan and Wesley Matthews to the Mavericks.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of those two moves, and just like the Spurs move where it's kind of just bringing in the new out with the old, it's kind of the same thing with the Mavericks, where they're going to have Jordan and Matthews be the centerpieces, and you already saw Chandler left from the 2011 championship team. He came back to try and give them something. He left already. Dirk's going to be gone soon, so I think they're going to be able to build around Jordan and Matthews, and I think they're going to grow as players even more before Dirk leaves. And I think having those two players there, both very good defensively, Jordan's going to grow offensively. Matthews has been very good offensively the past 2 years. I think that's the move. Those two moves are going to really help the Mavericks, and I think they'll probably in 2-3 years will be the best team in the West for a long time.
Yeah, and don't forget they have Parsons sitting there too.
Very true, yes.
Yeah, so I think that's another factor in my book with that move was you have these guys now for a couple of years, so you're at a point where Chandler Parsons had to come in being the new guy, learn to play with Monte Ellis and Tyson Chandler, and now they're gone.
Yeah.
So, now he knows DeAndre Jordan and Wesley Matthews will be there as long as he will.
Yeah.
So,
and another thing that I look at as well is when all three of their contracts are up, all three will be eligible for bird years, which will allow them to do what Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili have done this offseason, where they just wait to sign. Same thing with Danny Green. He's going to wait to sign before, after Aldridge, and if they want to add more pieces, because they can go over the cap to get signed because of bird years. And then when Matthews, DeAndre Jordan, and Parsons' contract is up, they could actually add another very high-quality player and then sign. Those three can sign as well, go over the cap.
Yeah. The interesting thing with Dallas, though, at least, you look, it happens a lot. Cleveland's doing it this year, even though they're not bringing in anybody huge yet to do it with. But at the same time, it's Mark Cuban, so the owner could rub them the wrong way and want them to either screw over the team or leave. So
Yeah, very true. But if you look at the guys that I think they brought in, they kind of have the same personality as Mark Cuban. They're very fiery guys, but
Yeah,
they don't overstep the line too much. They're always close to it, but they never really overstep it.
yeah. This team seems like it could very well have, you know, the interesting thing is, not to be racist, but the two white guys in Dirk and Chandler, um, you know, but this team has a feel of kind of like the Pacers when they won the East or got the first seed the year when they got beat by the Heat.
Hmm.
Um, but like how they were they thought they were like their own little, like gang or something or a street gang, and it was just fun to watch. Like they'd take pictures in like, 90s starter jackets and everything, and this team seems to have like that feel now because they're all kind of coming in at the same time. Like I said, Chandler was there for a year. Now you bring in Matthews and Jordan. Yeah, Dirk's on the way out. They got to figure out the point guard situation. Um, but at the same time, there'll be a chemistry there. Maybe not year one, but by year 2 or 3, they'll be together on the same page.
Yeah, I can see that. I definitely think maybe towards the middle of the year, I think they're very easy guys to gel together. I mean, Wesley Matthews was able to gel with Aldridge and Lillard, and Lillard and Aldridge were in a huge fight throughout the whole year. DeAndre
Yeah,
Jordan's used to being a bottom guy when it looked at for offense on the Clippers, so I think him getting a bigger role in offense will make the transition easier.
yeah, definitely. The other move I like though is very under the radar move, but at the same time it's not under the radar because people kind of saw it coming when he was leaving. Was Pierce to the Clippers? I mean, on multiple aspects too. I mean, you add the leadership that Pierce brings, and there's a reason why Doc went after him, obviously. Um, but at the same time, you've seen, all the part of me wants to believe that all the problems Rondo has had since the Big Three was blown up in Boston, part of me thinks that Pierce kind of held him in check. And with that said, now he's going to the Clippers, who have Lance Stevenson, who's another head case. So part of me thinks that Pierce is a good pickup in himself, but he might make Stevenson better, saying, you're not doing this. Calm down.
Yeah, I like that move, but at the same time I don't. I mean, it would have made sense if you kept Jordan because he's unstoppable on defense, very good defensive big man. But looking at Paul Pierce and Matt Barnes right now, I think having Barnes might be better because I think Barnes is a better defender. They're both going to put up 10 points a game. That's what they both averaged about last year. So I was thinking maybe if you had Pierce coming off the bench or starting, and then Barnes coming off the bench, like they could flop. But I just think just you're losing too much on defense there.
See, I'm not quite sure, because, I mean, no doubt his defensive numbers have been down the last 2 years with Brooklyn and Washington. But, I mean, he's going back to Doc, and this is what he knows. I mean, Doc's running a similar system. It's not the same thing because his point guard can score, unlike Rondo. But, part of me was, I mean, at least defensively, it's got to be similar to what he was running in Boston.
True, but the only reason I say that is because like if he gets beat off the ball, like and you had DeAndre Jordan protecting the rim, it's not too big of a deal. But now, who do you have covering the rim? Right now, you don't have anyone because you got rid of Spencer Halls as well.
Yeah, that's the big. That's the kicker is that who are they gonna bring in? I mean, and especially now, free agents go so quickly. I mean, who's left out there? If you were to have a list, who's out there that's a free agent? I mean, Larry Sanders, who doesn't want to play, and Bogut, who has no knees. I mean,
Yeah, very true. They were talking about getting Hibbert, but he has gone with Lou Williams and Brandon Bass to the Lakers. Both all three very interesting moves. They seem like average pickups for free agents. I mean, Lou Will would be a good pickup if you were a contending team and he was coming off the bench, but those moves, especially when you were such a bad team last year, don't seem like they're going to save your franchise or your season.
Yeah, I think, the Hibbert one makes a little sense to me. I mean, he hasn't been effective in 2 years, but, it fits under their cap. The Lakers certainly can afford it. So, I mean, I guess they're hoping to catch lightning in a bottle with him and that he finds his old form. But I think the most part of him is he kind of helps Julius Randle because, Randle's undersized to play the 4, but Hibbert's hard to say oversized because center's the biggest position, but he's oversized. He's 7'2". I mean, so part of me thinks that, you still have to guard Hibbert. So, it adds a formidable center that you have to pay some attention to, because he could, any given night find his old form. And, which will make Randall better because he's not getting the best post defender, because they'd be starting Robert Sacre or something if they didn't have Hibbert. So I think it helps out Randall, and they kind of hope that they catch lightning in a bottle. But I agree with you. The Lou Williams move didn't make sense to me unless, again, they catch lightning in a bottle with Hibbert, and then, I mean, Russell, if he plays well, which is unlikely because you haven't really seen a rookie come in and dominate right away, especially coming in at 19. And then Kobe, if he stays healthy, and, I mean, Hibbert, for all the jokes Kobe gets, kind of fits that Kobe system. Oh, get the rebound and give it back to me. Hibbert's been doing that with Paul George. So, part of me thinks that the Lou Williams move was just kind of, he's out, he's there. It makes their bench deeper, which was a big problem for them. And, who knows what he'll do as a starter, being he was a 6-man last year. But if something happens to Kobe, I mean, Lou Williams is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I think right now they don't have a 3. I mean, unless they're going to start Ryan Kelly there. I think you can see Russell getting some snaps or some minutes at the 3. I'm thinking NFL. It's been a long offseason.
Yeah.
I think maybe you could see Lou Will, Kobe getting some minutes at the 3. I wouldn't be surprised if Randall gets some minutes at the 3 because Bass can play power forward, plays power forward and center as well. So I think they can have a lot of versatility. They can go real big lineup, real small lineup. It'll be interesting to see what they do. However, I don't think it'll make a difference in the standings. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, the best they can do, I think, with the lineup is middle of the pack. And when you're trying to rebuild a franchise, you're not going to find franchise players at the middle of the pack.
Yeah, and you have a situation where, I mean, like you said, who's playing the 3? Right now, I think if you had to look at the roster, I think it might be Nick Young.
Yeah.
Who
is on the move right now, it seems like.
Yeah. So, you have a situation where there's just too many guys. Even if they somehow bring back Nick Young and don't move him, it's a situation where there's too many guys that need the ball in their hands to be successful at all. You look at Russell at Ohio State, Kobe, obviously, Nick Young. There was just too many guys, and Nick Young is a 6th man. He just had to start because the Lakers have nobody.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think originally I was looking at the Lakers' moves, and I was comparing them to the Knicks, and I thought, all right, the Lakers are actually trying to build something, whereas the Knicks, it doesn't seem too hot what they're building. But now looking at it, I think the Knicks might be in a better spot, even though they didn't pick up much.
But, you look at a situation where, the Knicks, that's the problem. The Knicks are in the East, the Lakers are in the West. The Lakers probably aren't making the playoffs with this lineup. the Knicks could. The Knicks, because of how bad the East is. And, you look, Robin Lopez, good offensive rebounder, so he could get the ball, get it back to Melo, get it running again. I like the Aflalo pickup more than I originally did, mostly because they signed him rather quickly. They signed him. They had the agreement with him by like 12 o'clock on July 1st. So it was a little upset they rushed that quickly to get Aaron Aflalo. But at the same time, it gives them a shooting guard. Because Jerry and Grant isn't really ready to start right away. So, you can use Aflalo now at the 2. And whoever plays point, whether it's Calderon, there's rumors of bringing back Jeremy Lin. I guess Phil wants to see Lin Sanity for himself. But the Robin Lopez move, and then you add in Porzingis. I mean, it's an okay starting 5. It's not winning anything. They'll get the 8th seed and get bounced by the Cavs. But that's the problem. Is that the Knicks are in the East where this lineup can get them to the playoffs, and this could mess them up draft. Because if they were in the West and getting crushed, maybe the picks get protected. This lineup should be getting crushed, but it's in the East.
Yeah, and you can't forget about Galloway. I think he's a good player, and I think he could actually slide into the 3 or play the 2 when you play a follow at the 3. I think there's many options there. Point guard, I think you should start Grant because, there's nothing to lose. You're not going to win the championship regardless.
Yeah.
So you might as well start Grant, let him get the most minutes. Hey, he's a tall point guard, and he does it all, so I think he could see a Rookie of the Year, kind of like Michael Carter-Williams did. He's a better shooter, no doubt. He's a better passer. So I think... Yeah.
Hopefully we won't trade Grant.
No, hey, you never know what happens, but the reason you traded Carter-Williams is because he was such a terrible shooter. So I think you won't have that problem with Grant. Watching him every game at Notre Dame for his 4 years, I can tell you that you got a very good player. A rival of the Knicks, as we all know, because it's pretty obvious. They made a very interesting trade that got Sixers fans and Sixers first-round pick Jahlil Okafor very excited. It was a trade with the Sacramento Kings. The Sixers picked up Nick Stauskas, Carl Landry, Jason Thompson, a 2018 first-round pick, and the right to swap first-round picks with the Kings in 2016 and 2017 for 2 second-round picks who were overseas assets that the Sixers picked in the second round this draft, and I believe 2 second-rounders in future drafts. So the Sixers basically gave up nothing for a high-upside guy who they've loved since last year, and a power forward in Jason Thompson who's 26, and a 31-year-old small forward in Carl Landry.
Yeah, I think this was a big trade. You're starting to see the pieces fall into place of, a bright future for you guys with, the 3 big men. Who knows what'll happen with Embiid, but you at least have Okafor and Nerlens. You have a spot-up shooter now in Stauskas. You guys are probably, who knows? Again, the East is so bad that this could get you to an 8 seed or a 7 seed. But it's, it's starting to look like a championship team down the road where you have the big, you have the spot-up shooter. If it seems like if the Sixers just get a scorer that could take the game over when the time comes, they're right in it.
Yeah, and another thing before the trade was even made that got Sixers fans so excited was that Jimmy Butler postponed his meeting with a bunch of different teams before he agreed to a 5-year, $90 million deal with the Bulls. I think it was the Lakers, the Celtics, and then there was 2 other teams in there, and then the Sixers were one of the teams. And it was funny watching on Twitter all the Sixers fans not freaking out that like, oh, Butler postponed his meeting with the Sixers. They were just like, oh my God, the Sixers had a meeting with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, yeah. I can speak from that. I remember 2 years ago, I want to say, during baseball free agency. It was probably just so Jay-Z could get used to talking to GMs, but the Mets had a meeting with Jay-Z about Cano, where he's like, okay.
Yeah, and speaking of baseball, we'll switch to that right now. And the All-Stars came out earlier tonight, Sunday night. Podcast will be released on Monday. I gotta get used to that. It's difficult. But we're just gonna read them off. In the AL, we have first base Miguel Cabrera, second base Jose Altuve, shortstop Alcides Escobar, third base Josh Donaldson, catcher Salvador Perez. Outfielders are Mike Trout, Lorenzo Cain, Alex Gordon, and the DH is Nelson Cruz. So we'll just we'll break down the AL first before we go to the NL.
All right. I like most of these. I mean, the amount of Royals in it is a little much. I mean, you can make the case that they're the best team in the AL, but, you look at it, I think Perez belongs there. Escobar, probably just because of the lack of shortstops league-wide. But then you look at it, I mean, Lorenzo Cain. I mean, you could have had, other guys in there. You could have had, just trying to think of some names. I mean, Jacoby Ellsbury, he's had a down year. But he's one. Adam Jones. Adam Jones isn't in the starting lineup. And then you look at it with Cabrera being on the DL, it will probably be Hosmer getting the start. So that's another Royal. They stuffed the ballot box early and often, I guess, and this is the payoff that they get. Let me see here: 1, 2, 3, 4 voted in, and then potentially Hosmer. So.
Yeah, I mean, 5 seems like a lot, or 4 and potentially 5 seems like a lot. But looking at the players, I mean, the only one I think doesn't really deserve it is Escobar, because you got Kane hitting over 300, and he's a wizard on defense. Gordon has been awesome on defense. He's hitting, I think, around 270s, maybe right under 300. Escobar has played very well. I mean, these are guys who led them to the AL championship, a surprise AL championship, and then what made them so exciting to watch was their defense, and you're seeing their defensive weapons being put on the roster because they're so exciting to watch. Other than Salvador Perez, I mean, he's a great defensive catcher, but he also adds offense. He's a legit all-star.
Yeah. Perez belongs there, but I mean, Kane's batting 300 and he plays good defense, but, from a fan's perspective, that's not what I want to see in the All-Star game.
True, but you just see that how the game has changed. It's not all just home runs and big hits anymore. It seems like it's pitching and defense, and it didn't seem like it would be a nice transition the way you think about in your head. Like, would I rather see 5 home runs hit a game or 5 great catches? You're like, I'd probably see 5 home runs, but then when you watch the 5 great catches, you're like, all right, this is pretty fun, and the Royals make it fun, and they just have a good vibe around their team, and it's just enjoyable to watch them, and I think that's why that they have such a following, and they were able to get 4, possibly 5 into the All-Star game.
Yeah, that's the big thing is, they are exciting. I'm not going to take away from them. And everyone was behind them, in the playoffs because they hadn't won since the 80s. They were in the World Series. So I think you also had a lot of, I don't think this was just Royals fans as much as it was a lot of fans of NL teams that were like, oh, I liked watching the Royals last year, so I'll vote for them.
Yeah, I mean, it was one was me. I can tell you that. I'm not gonna hide it.
I had some Royals in my ballot.
Yeah, I mean, they're a great team. They were underdogs, came out of nowhere. They were just really fun to watch. and they are an exciting team. They remind me of the '07 Phillies. I mean, just the way they were just a young, fun team to watch, and just weren't supposed to be in the playoffs, but they made it. And that's, as a Phillies fan, you can kind of look at them and be like, all right, like I see what they're doing there.
Yeah, so if last year was '07, maybe this year's an indication for them.
Hey, yeah, maybe. We're going to switch to the NL right now, where we have first baseman Paul Goldschmidt, second baseman D. Gordon, shortstop Johnny Peralta, third base Todd Frazier, catcher Buster Posey, outfielders are Bryce Harper, Giancarlo Stanton, Matt Holliday, and the DH has yet to be announced because in the NL you don't vote for DH.
Yeah, I think most of these I'm okay with. You know, D. Gordon's exciting, and he's hitting a ton this year. You know, Goldschmidt's an MVP candidate. Frazier is a machine, plus it's Cincinnati. So, Posey's the best catcher in baseball. Harper's on a tear. Unfortunately, Stanton's hurt, so we'll have someone else in the outfield. My fingers are crossed for McCutchen, hopefully, because, you know, I think he should have been in over Matt Holliday, personally. You know, McCutchen is just so, because he does exactly what Kane does. Hits 300, plays good defense. He's just a player you want in your team. The one that caught me off guard, though, when I got the alert on my phone on this Sunday night, was that Johnny Peralta got in. I mean, again, lack of shortstops, baseball wide, but you're telling me Tulowitzki didn't get in, at least voted in, and they're in a situation where like Stanton and Cabrera can't play.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because kind of what Kansas City has, St. Louis also has in the following, not as much, but Johnny Peralta has had a better year than Tulo this year. Tulo actually started off the year phenomenal. Peralta has kept it. He's hitting over 300, and he can hit some bombs, so I think that helped him out there. And I believe Matt Holliday, there's talk of him being back a week before the All-Star Game, injury-wise, but he might sit out the All-Star Game, so we might have two chances of McCutchen getting in. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if you have probably like, I can't even think of who would be in there. I'm blank on the name right now, but like another outfielder because both those guys are hurt.
Yeah, probably like Puig or something.
Yeah, I mean Puig has been injured a lot, but it's the manager's choice, so I believe.
Yeah, and it's Bochy, right?
It's
so
Bochy.
Pence.
Yeah, Pence has also been shaken up though this year too. So, I mean, outfielder wise for the NL, it's been really just a lot of injured guys. So.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a toss-up, but I think McCutchen will get in just because of the name. I mean, yeah, he's struggled a little this year, but he's really came on strong of late.
Yeah.
Let's see. And we're going to go over the power rankings now, and they haven't changed much, but they changed enough to re-say them. Number 1 is the Cardinals, 2 are the Nationals, 3 the Astros, 4 the Royals, 5 the Pirates, 6 the Dodgers, 7 the Yankees, 8 the Cubs, 9 the Orioles, and 10 the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I mean St. Louis again. This is like 10 weeks in a row or something. I think they were still at the top when we were still at school.
Yeah.
But they're on a historic pace. They find ways to win. They deserve to be won. Washington, you could probably make the case for being one if they didn't have so many injury concerns this year. Houston has maintained their success this year. Last year they had success at the beginning of the year like they are this year, but it fell off by mid-June, early July. We're at early July, so we'll have to see. But I think they'll hold on. Kansas City, again, they're really good. There's no other way around it. They got experience last year, and it's showing off. Pittsburgh has been hot, like you said. As McCutchen's come around, so have the Pirates. The Dodgers, that payroll's too big for them not to be competing in the West, as are the Yankees, that payroll. The Cubs are the surprising one for me, though. 'Cause I don't think were they in last week?
I believe. Actually, I'm not sure. I usually just delete the off, and
Yeah.
then I think they might have been lower. I think they might have been like 8 or something like that.
Well, they're 8 in this one too.
Oh, okay. Well then, I'm not sure. They
Yeah.
might not have been. I'm not sure.
Like I said, I don't remember them being on last week. The one problem I have with this is, yeah, they got a sweep this week, but it was a sweep over the Mets. I mean, I'll be honest, the Mets are not playing well right now at all, other than the pitching. You know, the Cubs surprised me a little bit. And then obviously you have the two AL East teams at the bottom of the top 10. And the AL East has been loaded this year.
Yeah, I mean the AL East is even getting better as Boston's only 6 out now, so it's getting closer every day. The Cubs, yeah, it's a week by week basis. I do agree they might not. It doesn't really feel like they should be in there. I mean they're 5-5 in their last 10, but these are up to Buster Olney. So if you got beef with it, you can tweet at him. So you can tag us in the tweet as well. But yeah, I agree with you there. The Cubs are the only one I don't agree with. I mean, there's much more hotter teams out there, so I think you could probably go. I'd probably put the Angels in there. I mean, they're 8-2 in their last 10, so
Or Boston, closing the gap in the East.
very true. They're playing very well. So, but you already have enough East teams there. I think you can kind of calm it down a little. Like you said, the Nationals are facing some injuries, and Steven Strasburg, very injury prone, is back on the DL after being 2-0 in his first 3 starts off the DL with a 1.38 ERA. He is back on.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those injuries that, you know, they kind of prepared for this with signing Scherzer. You know, the guy's had Tommy John. He's been banged up relatively since they drafted him. It's always something with him, you know. So I think they covered their ass with signing Scherzer, and that's obviously paying off with Scherzer. But as a Mets fan now, I will say if last year Strasburg goes down and the Mets are only, you know, were they now like 3.5 out or something because they've sucked the last 2 weeks, you know, I'm jumping for joy that Strasburg is out. Now it's only Zimmerman that we have to deal with. But, you know, Scherzer's there. Zimmerman's still there. He had a great start his last time out, Zimmerman. You know, Gio Gonzalez, Doug Fister have looked better. You know, that staff is too loaded. You know, they're built now to deal with Strasburg going down.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and I think it depends on how long he'll be on the DL. I think if Tanner Rourke is able to get back in the swing of being in the rotation, I think he actually becomes very dangerous because he's a very good pitcher, very underrated pitcher. You're right that Scherzer was a great backup plan. It's just interesting to see what they're going to do with Strasburg if they decide to just move him at this point because the injuries are just too much or they just play it out. I'm not really sure what they're going to do. I mean, they have the rotation right now for the foreseeable future, assuming that they re-sign Zimmerman.
Yeah, that's going to be the huge thing. I mean, and especially because he's looking to be, I mean, the best right-handed pitcher available on the market. I mean, you potentially have David Price out there, but he's looking to be the best right-handed pitcher on the market. You know, that's going to get pricey for, you know, let's be honest, the guy with Washington is a third starter. You know, he's an ace on any other team.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, they have the money to throw around, so it shouldn't be a problem, but I think Strasburg, with all these injuries, it's just tough to get on a roll for him, and it's just really going to ruin his career. And I believe I tweeted this out this past week. I said the only thing that can ruin an all-star's career is injuries and felonies, and right now he's got the injury bug.
Yeah.
One real quick interesting fact from Sunday's baseball action. David Ortiz got his first start at first base since '06 at Fenway Park. And the Red Sox also did something very interesting in his first start at first base at Fenway Park since '06. They didn't record an out at first base. The first
Really?
baseman did not record a putout, and that's the first time in the franchise 17,867 game history that did not happen.
Wow, that's funny.
So just a little interesting fact that even the hitters didn't want Poppy to play first base. That's how bad he is.
I will also throw a little fun fact out there while we're on baseball, since we on Wednesday we passed. Mets fans know Bobby Bonilla Day. That's a mess. I mean, at least we don't have to pay him as much of a deferred contract as the Nats have to pay Scherzer when he could be playing for someone else. But it's just fine. I mean, July 1st, that comes around, and everyone's like, hey, Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah. Was it $1.2 million they pay him every July 1st?
We pay him 1.2, but I don't know how he pulled it off, but he's got another deferred deal with the Orioles for another $500,000, so he gets 1.7 every July 1st.
Hey, he's making out. But the one thing about Scherzer is that he actually will deserve that money that the Nats will be paying him. Bonilla, not so much.
Yeah.
We're going to switch to the NHL right now, and I'm going to give you the names that were inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, all very well deserved. Nicholas Lindstrom, Sergei Fedorov, Phil Housley, Chris Pronger, Bill Hay, Peter Karmanos, and Angela Ruggiero.
Yeah, I mean, props to them. They definitely deserve it. The interesting thing is, Pronger even retired yet?
No, Pronger is a current member of the Arizona Coyotes.
I was there. I mean, at least the NHL is letting him go in while he's not retired yet, because he'll never play again. But it's funny. I mean, but they all deserve it. Just hopeful he doesn't go in as a Coyote.
No, I'm sure he'll go in as probably a Duck or an Oiler.
No Flyers? You're not going to hope for the Flyers?
I'm always hoping for the Flyers, but I'm just trying to give my 2 cents, not my heart.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I believe you got two of the best defensemen ever on this list, and Angela Ruggiero, she's a woman and really led the charge of the U.S. women national team and their rise to fame, so I think she's very well deserved as well.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely well deserving.
Mm-hmm.
While we're on national teams, though, I mean, you didn't throw this in the outline, but I'll ad-lib a bit. The soccer.
Yes.
Soccer.
Yes.
Home the World Cup.
It was a very, very good game, very good tournament. A little upset they didn't get the shutout streak. I think it ended at 538 minutes, exactly tied with the '07 German team. So that was a little upsetting, but just a dominating win and a dominating performance from Delran, New Jersey native Carly Lloyd. She wins the golden ball for the MVP of the tournament and has a hat trick today, and has an amazing goal that you don't even see in FIFA with that shot from midfield. It was just a dominating performance and really awesome to watch for the day after 4th of July. It was just great.
Oh yeah, my friend texted me. Like you said, what better way to end the 4th of July weekend than, hey, the U.S. women won the World Cup. But yeah, speaking of that goal, once I saw it and it was like 4-1 at halftime. I went on FIFA and started trying to hit it with Messi and couldn't. So,
yeah, it was a dominating performance, and one of the moments that I think was pretty amazing was when Abby Wambach, she played in her last World Cup, and her last World Cup game, which was the final. She came in the 80th minute, and Carly Lloyd ran across the field and gave her the captain band. I think that was very, very cool to see, and just was almost like, it was kind of interesting because it wasn't a passing of the torch from Lloyd to Wambach. It was kind of like a reverse, because Lloyd is really the new face of the team where Wambach was.
Yeah. think it's, she's going out on top. I was talking about to my brother though, and it's interesting that, and I know the men's team is not as good worldwide as the women's team is for the U.S., but, it would, and part of it would be the shock factor, but even putting that aside, I think if the men ever won a World Cup, we'd probably hear about it until the next World Cup, and it'd be a huge deal, And while the women deserve all the credit that they're going to get, it could fade out within a couple months or a year,
Yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of like if we're kind of like when the Warriors won the finals. It was like it was good to see, and it was surprising, but not as surprising as it would have been if like the Bucks won it or something like that.
Yeah.
It was just it was like you can see it. So
Yeah, you can
I
see
mean,
it coming.
but still a great accomplishment, and I think what Jill Ellis has done after Pia Sundhage left, she really just. Watching them, you can just see the defense is 10 times better. They just seemed more conditioned and more upbeat throughout the entire game, and I think she deserves all the credit, if not most.
Oh, yeah. And dealing with everything that came with it, all the bad publicity that Hope Solo had coming into it and everything, and the fact that, that's the sign of a good team. They put it all behind them. We're playing soccer.
Yeah.
I think a lot of men's teams can learn from the women's national team on how to deal with, off the field or off the court issues. Just play.
Yeah.
Who cares? Just play.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I did forget to put in the outline. Thanks for calling me out for that. But I think you brought it up at this point because you wanted to delay your boy Jason Pierre-Paul, his firework incident on the 4th of July. It was reported that he has suffered severe burns to his right hand, I believe, and has injuries to all of his fingers. I believe some fingertips may be off, and nerve damage in one finger.
How stupid can you be? I
Yeah.
get it, you want to be patriotic, and in your contract here, man, what are you doing? But he's, part of me, as bad as this sounds, is so ecstatic about this, because now he's hurt, and if he comes back, he's still not going to be worth the price tag that he wants unless he comes back and plays, to his level of 4 years ago, So part of me is like, more cap space, but, you just hope he gets better, freak thing, you hear bad stories all the time about random people that have fireworks blow up on them. This just happens to be a celebrity or a football player. I won't go celebrity, but a football player that's a big deal, and it just happened to happen to him.
Yeah, I think you can go celebrity there. I think football being the high magnitude it is, I think you can call football players celebrities. It was unfortunate. However, when you're making how much or you want to make how much in your contract year, you just take all precautions. Like you put towels on tile floors so you don't slip. You just got to do everything.
Yeah.
You got to make sure your wife takes the first bite of everything just in case someone's trying to get you. You got to take all the precautions because that's a lot of money he could have thrown away. I think he will recover just fine. I mean, all he needs to make sure is his fingers bend so he can rip the offensive lineman. I think this shouldn't put him back too much, and I think he will get paid a lot, but definitely a scary incident. Definitely puts it in perspective how quickly it can end.
Yeah.
All right, that'll wrap us up for this week. It's our shortest show, but I think it was a very good one.
Well, it's a very good show.
Had a lot of different things in there with, just how the Knicks are ruining their franchise and how every Knicks fan is now the biggest U.S. women's national team fan because they won something.
Screw you.
No, all us Philadelphia fans were very pumped as well. The best Philadelphia athlete right now is Carly Lloyd because that's all we got.
Yeah, yeah. I will throw this out there while we're talking about women's soccer players. Alex Morgan, I know you're married, but if you're listening, call me. Call me or tweet at me, whatever.
Yeah, we'll make sure Lewis will tweet out his number and at Alex Morgan. We'll give you updates on that, but I'm pretty sure we all know the answer.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that it's going to be a hard no.
Hey, man, you never know unless you don't try, right?
Exactly, exactly.
So keep sending in your all-time teams. I believe we have 6. I might have gotten more. I have to check my email. I was on vacation, so I was slacking a little. But keep checking out the website. Just subscribe to us on YouTube. Keep tweeting at us. We're going to try... Actually, I want to mention this. We're going to try and get a mailbox going where we tweet out during one day where you can DM us questions, and then we'll use them during the show. We'll answer them at the end of the show. Just anything about any sport, about any team. You want opinions on anything, we'd love to answer them. We're going to try and get that going. And I'm going to look into making Monday Night Lights their own Twitter. So I'll give you updates on that. Just keep being loyal listeners, and we'll keep giving you the best we got.
Yep, every Monday, same time, many places.
Yeah, very true. I don't think I've recorded in the same place every week.
I have my one station.
Yeah, I'm in different rooms, different states, different counties. I'm trying to give every county a different view of Monday Night Lights.
Different taste of Monday Night Lights. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. For Lewis Schaefer, I'm Tim Hoffmeister. This has been Monday Night Lights. See you next week.